Hey y'all, and welcome back to our devotions, Turning Points with God by David Jeremiah. Today's devotion comes from page 93. The title of it is Seeds of Discouragement. Very, very intriguing title. I will be reading our scripture from my King James Bible, and it is 2 Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 7. And it says, "Be ye strong, therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded." If Satan had a barn for storing his weed seeds, the biggest bins would be filled with discouragement seeds, for he's constantly sowing them in the heart of faithful Christians. Many pastors are utterly worn out. Missionaries, seeing little tangible progress, are disheartened and ready to give up their work. Lay workers sometimes ask themselves, am I doing any good, or is this a waste of time? We don't always see immediate and impressive results from our labor, but God promises that our work shall be rewarded. Paul told us to be always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing our labor in him is not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. We have barns too, filled with gospel seed. The Bible promises, he who continually goes forth weeping, bearing seed for sowing, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. Psalms 126 and 6. So don't give up or grow weary in doing good, for in due season we'll reap a harvest if we do not lose heart. Galatians 6:9. Lord, take my lips and speak through them. Take my mind and think through it. Take my heart and set it on fire. William H. AITKEN. Wow. So true. So true. I've never thought of it this way, but if Satan did have a barn for storing his weed seeds, the biggest bin would be filled with discouragement. He is like a roaring lion. And I've said before, if he can discourage us and make us scared, use fear. Fear and discouragement are two of his strongest tactics he uses. And they kind of go hand in hand, if you ask me. But we have to stay vigilant in our walk with God, and we have to stay in our word so we can stumble across at the right time this scripture where, "Be ye strong, therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded." God will reward us for everything that we do for him and for the kingdom. And it can be very wearisome sometimes, because if you're like me, I'm a kind of an instant gratification person. I like to see the result of my labor. But let me say, the Lord is really teaching me about that as well. And I can use my little flower garden as an example. Because when you plant your flowers, or if you like me, I've got a majority of mine from clearance. So they were like really pitiful and needed some love. So you plant them. You take care of them, you nourish them, you do all the things, but it may be a year or longer before you see any reward for your labor, for your hard work. But then one day, you may walk outside and see just how magnificent all that labor was. You know, it was worth it. I had started was it last year, year before, kind of started working on our yard because I was not happy with it. It didn't bring me any joy. And we spent a lot of time out on our little back porch. And so we started making some changes and making some flower beds. And the Lord really blessed me with a bunch of clearance plants from Lowe's. And then he used my mother-in-law to give me some amazing, beautiful flowers. She gave me so many different kinds of flowers. And at the time, didn't even know what they were going to look like. Just planted them still planting some that I don't know what the flowers are going to look like. But then I get up and I walk outside the other day, and it was just like everywhere I looked was a beautiful flower of some sort. And it's like all of that work, all of that sweat and hard work was worth it, because now I'm reaping the rewards of that labor. And same thing with the Lord. I get up and I do these devotions, not feeling worthy, first and foremost, but I get up and do them because this is where the Lord has me in this season. And I feel like I just stumble my words. I make no sense. Somehow I just pray, Lord, just make it make sense to whoever's listening to it. I pray that whoever needs it finds it when they need it. They find the right one when they need it. And I cannot tell you at the different times when I've been very, discouraged is not the word, but just wondering, am I making any sense? I will all of a sudden get a comment on a video maybe I put out a year ago, and they will tell me how they don't even know how they found it. They didn't even know I had this channel, or they don't even know who I am, but I just showed up in their feed one day and they clicked on it, and it was exactly what they needed to hear at that particular time. And then that just, okay, Lord, I get it. And it's worth it. It's worth it getting up here, doing these devotions, even on days where I feel, not that I ever feel worthy, but there's some days I just feel less than even anything. I don't even know what the word would be. I just feel so like, why me, Lord? Who am I? I make the biggest mistakes all the time. It's like I'm constantly asking for forgiveness, but here we are. And for whatever reason, this is where he has me. And I never want it to be about me, but I want it to be about his glory. But he will throw me those little handfuls of encouragement when the devil is trying to discourage me, is what I'm trying to get at. The devil will sit up there and try to make me feel stupid, crazy even, the other day I did a devotion, and as I was editing, I was like, my Lord, I hope it comes across differently to y'all than it does to me, because I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm whining and wanting sympathy, because that is never it. I can only share what's going on in my life and how God deals with me and what I get from these devotions and my interpretations, but you may get something completely different, as you should, That's the beauty of God. He can take one scripture, 5 different people can read that scripture and all get something different from it, because it's a living word. That's how God works. So I hope this has encouraged you to just keep on doing it. Just keep on keeping on. Don't give up. That's the biggest thing. The devil wants us to just feel so discouraged and just throw our hands up. Well, I'm not doing that, because number one, I know what's on that other side, because I've been there for so long. And I know what's out there, and it's nothing. It's empty and shallow and lonely. I'd much rather be here doing my best. On my worst day in the Lord is better than my best day in the world. And I don't ever want to go back to that. And so when the devil tries to just keep at me, I'm just like, no. And I mean, I do have temptations that come at me. There's things that I sometimes think, well, I'm just going to do that. I mean, what does it matter? Well, it matters for me in my walk with God. It will affect me. And so I just pray, and the Lord helps me get past it. But he tries. But then when I get past it and then something good happens that the Lord has just come in on the scene and worked out for me, I'm like, it's worth it, Lord. It's worth it. In my worst day and hour with you is worth everything. The world has nothing for me. The world is empty. In fact, the world is lost and lonely and searching for what I have. And then that just kind of gives me a new start, fresh start, and I just start up again. And I hope that makes sense. But anything we do for God is never in vain. He sees And he knows. And he knows if we're doing it for the right reason. He knows if we're doing it from the heart because we love him. And he also knows if you're doing it just to be seen, like, look what I can do, kind of thing. So don't give up. Keep on keeping on. Get your weed killer out and keep killing those seeds of discouragement that the devil's trying to put in your way. Keep killing those seeds of you're not good enough. You're pathetic. All this mess. Just keep killing it. Keep killing those weeds, and eventually the goodness of the Lord is going to overtake all that anyway, and you're going to have a beautiful reward for all of your labor. We might not see it here on earth, but he's preparing a place for us in heaven, and I can't wait. I look at the flowers outside, or the sunsets or sunrises, or just the beauty that's out there, and I think, if this is this beautiful here, what is heaven going to look like? I want to go and see. I want to enjoy, because I know it's going to be beautiful. And I will enjoy that after I've spent about, 5 billion years at the feet of Jesus. You know what I mean? But be encouraged. Don't let the devil get to you. Keep doing what you're doing for the Lord. He sees and he knows. And all of your work and labor will be rewarded, be it in this lifetime or in eternity. I love you. I pray that you have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.